It's alright, like Kaphonie, the indie pop artist whose album has been out for an entire year, and I just kind of thought, why not talk about the lore of the album? These were very close to being the album cover. First off, we have this image. Now, a lot of you are familiar with this image on my social media or on Google. It's probably my favorite picture of myself, at least my very first picture of my favorite picture of myself. Originally, the album was going to be called Not Your Video Game. But I did decide to change it to Control Your Hat like it is today. But that is a video on its own. So here we have this dope image of me where I look like some sort of hot potato, and I really wanted to have pink originally because pink and yellow are my favorite colors. I don't really have anything yellow at the time, so I just kind of chose this. I wanted to reference PlayStation cover art, so therefore I went ahead and put this black bar on the side. So I took this image of Ape Escape and I basically photoshopped it out and then put myself in it and then put my own little logo over the PlayStation logo. A little bit of plagiarism was going on, so I was like, I'm not sure if this is okay, because what I was really going for was just referencing it, not literally plagiarism. But as you know, I didn't decide to go with that. Instead, I was about to go with just this because the album was called Control Your Hat. So I crafted out everything but the Control Your Hat part. Why didn't I go with this one either? Well, I don't know. Like, I was just like, I like it, but I kind of wanted Control Your Hat to be more obvious, like the title of the song. And I didn't really have space for it, and I didn't think who often would actually try to take the time to read what the beanie says, you know? So I kind of was against this. I was like, you know, I don't think this is gonna work out either. I don't want them to miss the hat. That's the whole point. That's actually literally the whole point of the album. That's why the album's called Control Your Hat. So I wanted to make sure the controller hat was obvious. But I had a feeling maybe someone would miss out that this is actually on a hat right now or something. I don't know. I was just concerned that there would be confusion. So then I came up with this one. I was like, yo, I want it to make you feel very video gamey. So of course I had to put some graphic art of controllers and a video game setting with a wireframe going on. I was like, you know, when I listened to They Don't Know My Name, I pictured this setting pretty much, and I was like, yo, the shade of purple and everything is really good, but I didn't like that it looked like I photoshopped myself, because I know I did literally Photoshop myself. Once I took the picture and then I did everything, I was just like, I kind of don't like this. It just looks like, yeah, I did this myself, and I didn't want people to think that. And I think people did think that, then I want them to think like, oh, that's cool that he did that himself, or that he got that done or something. So I decided against this one too. Oh. This one was very, very close to being the album cover, because I was like, oh, this one makes me think of Play the Game and They Don't Know My Name, and it just felt like I could hear the album when I looked at this, but I didn't like that it felt really low quality, which, by the way, that detail is actually intentional for it to look low quality, like this was taken with bad coloration or something. I wanted it to feel nostalgic when you see it and when you hear it. I wanted this first album to feel nostalgic. So I was trying to capture that in the cover art. And this also is very heavily inspired between both Lady Gaga's first album and Kesha's first album. They're both my hugest inspiration, so I really wanted to combine both of their covers and make something my own. But why didn't I go with this one? Well, I don't know. I just didn't feel it. Like I was like, I really like this, but I just don't feel it. And I was like, I want to be able to feel it. Oh. Now this one is also actually really old. I mean, I think you can tell just by the font of Control Your Hat. I actually photoshopped it onto there to make it look like it was part of the tag, because I think originally it just says Super Mario on it. And again, the album was going to be called Not Your Video Game, but then I ended up going a different direction with it, which is a whole video on its own. But this image, I was like, you know, this is actually one of the very first images I took of myself with one of my controller hats. And I was like, yo, wouldn't it be really cool if I just like took that photo and photoshopped it a lot? And I kind of did this. I put some Wham Schwartz characters in the background, which are my original characters from a upcoming web series that is on a pause right now. It's still going to exist one day. That's a whole video in itself as well. But then when I looked at this, I was like, I don't know. I didn't want people to think the song was going to be bad because the cover looked kind of bad. But again, I wanted it to look kind of baddish and aged and vintage-like. That was the intention. Because I really wanted, when years go by and then you first listen to this album after maybe even 5 years, you'll feel nostalgia when you look at it and when you hear the songs. And that's exactly what I wanted. But I decided not to go with this for those reasons. So now it's time for the album cover you all know and love. Control Your Hat. I decided to go with this for several reasons. Because first of all, I felt like it captured the ambience of most of the songs. I was like, oh, I feel like this location of wireframe and kind of incomplete state of mind kind of thing. I don't know, I just felt that vibe, right? But I knew that the biggest thing that needed to happen with this album is that it had the controller hat in the cover and you can't miss it. And I also was like, you know, I kind of want like a little bit of a hint of, hey, this is another photo of me, but little do people know that this photo on the upper left corner was the one that was about to be the album cover, and then I decided not to, but it ended up being on the album cover anyway. Then I even put like the They Don't Know My Name single cover in the background, and then there's like a really old selfie in the background that's kind of blurred and small. I think the biggest thing was that I talk about how people would take photos of me, and I wanted to be able to illustrate that somewhere in the cover as well. So I just put those 3 photos, very subtle. Then I came across this image on Adobe Stock and I was like, yo, I feel it when it comes to this. The background has to be this. So then I took that stock image that I really liked it a lot, and then I shifted the hue, and I was like, yes, I kind of wanted cyan on the cover because cyan's my 3rd favorite color, obviously. So mixing it with a little bit of The Fame from Lady Gaga and a little bit of Animal from Kesha, and combining the two, I felt like I created this, and this was something that I loved because I was like, yeah, my 2 biggest inspirations, I want to be compared to them. I even went with the title Control Your Hat because it's the name of the invention. I needed to get it patented, but I couldn't afford it at the time. But I could afford making an album though. So I was like, making this album will be my way of copywriting this hat, finally, because so many people would tell me, you need to get that patent, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's in the process, I'm just broke right now. I intentionally made the first color red and kind of insinuate player 1, which kind of meant first album, because there's going to be a small detail for the second album cover for it to look like it says player 2 and it has like 2 light colors. And I'm going to kind of invert it to where it's a black controller instead of a white one. Now, as far as like everything else when I make my next album cover, I'm not sure yet, but I know it's gonna come when the time comes. But this photo, I was like, yes, I wanted it to look slightly crappy, and I really wanted it to look nostalgic, as I said. And I feel like I captured that. Now, there is a few things I regret about this album cover, but that's a video all on its own. And I'm even going to talk about things I regret about each song in that video. But yeah, I really liked this as the finished product. I was like, you know what? I love this, and I'm going to love seeing this years later on. And I hope that other people will feel the same way when they do. Until next time, thanks for playing, and control yourselves. Wink.